Hello, Mr. Forbes. So today I'll present to you my midterm project on Chapter 5, 7, and 9. So on Chapter 5, we talked about organizational strategy. So resources in the business is the assets, capabilities, processes, information, and knowledge that the organization controls. And these resources gives to a business competitive advantage or sustainable competitive advantage. Competitive advantage it is when you're providing greater value for customers than competitors can, while sustainable competitive advantage is a competitive advantage that other companies have tried unsuccessfully to duplicate. So how to know if you have a competitive advantage or a sustainable competitive advantage? You can use the VRIO model. So first, is my good valuable? Is it rare? Is it easy to imitate? Or is the organization organized to capture the most value of a product? So then companies reach this advantage using strategies that they used in the past. However, competition changes, and if companies continue to rely on their old strategies, they may lose their advantage. So first, the step one you want to do is assess the need for strategic change. You need to avoid competitive inertia. It is when a company is not willing to make changes. They think they want to, but they don't do anything. Next, look for strategic dissonance. This is when a discrepancy between an intended strategy and the strategic actions managers take when implementing it. So sometimes there can be a misunderstanding between the board of directors and the management team when it comes to implementing certain strategies. Next, conduct situational analysis. So you need to do the SWOT analysis. First, you go internally with your strengths and weaknesses, and then you look externally to your opportunities and threats. You can use a PESTLE model, which will allow you to go more in depth when looking at the opportunities and threats. Next, step 3, you need to choose a strategic alternative. So here are some strategies. So at the corporate level, you can use a portfolio strategy. So you can do acquisitions, such as just like an investor, either unrelated diversification or related diversification. This is when unrelated, it is when you're buying companies from other industry. Fun fact, when you're buying about 10 companies from 10 different industries, it is almost impossible for you to lose money. So some businesses do so because they have the financial capacity to do so, and it provides them with some passive income. Next, related diversification. So sometimes you want to buy maybe a competitor who's taking your customers in your industry. So you can buy or invest in some companies from the industry. Next, single business. This is when you're buying a single business, and there's the BCG matrix. I won't go in depth, but it is a way to categorize in 4 different categories the different companies. Next, there's grand strategy. So grand strategy is either you opt for growth or stability, and you can also opt for retrenchment or and recovery. So growth, it is when you want to do anything in order to grow your business. You can multiply the number of products. You can change your way. You can create new products, trying to fulfill the needs of the people. While stability is when you're trying to improve the current product you're selling at its best. And then retrenchment / recovery, it is when maybe you see that some part of management is not going well in a category, so you can just maybe you can hire new people, and you can fire some other. As to the industry level strategies, there's the Porter's 5 industry forces. I won't go also in depth, but the competitive rivalry is made of threat of new entry in the industry level, supplier power, how the supplier has power over you or over the companies, net threat of substitution, and then buyer power. The 4 generic strategies when it comes to positioning strategies. So first, There's the cost leadership. It is when you are trying to sell the a common good but lower than all of the competitors. You can also opt for differentiation. This is when the customer is willing to pay more because you're offering an alternate to the current product. And then for the narrow target, there's a cost focus and differentiation focus. So this occurs when you maybe you're just focusing on a certain type of people. It is very specific for a very specific demographic of people, and it is it is not meant for everyone. And then for the firm level strategies, there's a framework of direct competition. So first, you can see it is based on market commonality and resource similarity. So for McDonald's and Boston Pizza, we can see that they have the low market commonality and resource similarity. They are both low. And then for Subway, we can see that the resources are higher and the market commonality is lower, and vice versa. You can do so with every companies. This is a way for you to analyze at a firm level and create a strategy. So this is it for chapter 5. As for organizational strategies, we'll now cover chapter 7. So first, chapter 7, it is about global management. Global business is the buying and selling of goods and services by people from different countries. The impact it has, it creates direct foreign investment. It is a method of investment in which a company builds a new business or buys an existing business in a foreign country, such as Molson Canadian, which was a Canadian company who was recently bought by a Brazilian company, a Brazilian brewing company, of course. So now they are Brazilian owned. Next, for the regulations, there are trade barriers, tariffs, and there's the protectionism. So trade barriers, it reduces purchase of imported goods. Tariffs, it put a tax on certain goods when it is imported. As for protectionism, it is when you're protecting local companies from foreign competition. Non-tariff trade barriers, there's the quotas, voluntary export restraint, government import standards, government subsidies, custom valuation slash classification. They are all non-tariff trade barriers um, in order to maybe use some protectionism for your local businesses. And the next, there's the GATT, which is the General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. It is it was it is the original term for the WTO, but now it is changed to the World Trade Organization. Its purpose was to make it easier and cheaper to buy foreign product in all countries. There was about 124 countries who was in the General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. It cut tariffs by 30% on average worldwide by 2015. Tariffs eliminated in 10 specific industries, stricter limits put on government subsidies. So the GATT is, they put non-tariff and tariff barriers to countries, and they either abolish them or they make some. They are just managing global the globalization. So now it is the World Trade Organizations, like I said. So they're administering World Trade Organization trade agreements, firm for trade negotiations, handling trade disputes, monitoring national trade policies, technical assistance and training for developing countries, cooperation with other international organizations. So here are all regional trading zones. We for the as for Canada, we're part of the NAFTA, and here are all the other bigger agreements. Now, a business can opt for global consistency or local adaptation when they come from a home country and goes to a foreign country. Global consistency, it is when a multinational company has offices, plants in different countries and uses the same rules, guidelines, policies, and procedures. Um, as we saw in the Netflix video, we can see that the Chinese went to the glass production site, and they didn't they were pretty consistent. They were trying to implement themselves in the culture of the US. However, they were they were mostly using Chinese uh, ways of doing things. As for local adaptation, when a multinational company modifies its rules, guidelines, policies, and procedures to adapt to differences in foreign customers, governments, and regulatory agencies. So here is a McDonald's. We don't see this in North America, maybe because our lifestyle is not meeting the need for such things as little McDonald's. However, maybe Chinese are more on the go and they don't have to wait too much. So this is maybe why they put a smaller McDonald's. Forms of global business. There's export, cooperative contract, strategic alliance, global new ventures. So export, produce products from your own countries and sell customers in foreign countries. Cooperative contracts, there's franchise and licensing agreement. So franchisee, it is when the manufacturer or marketer licenses the entire business to another, such as Tim Horton. Licensing agreement, it is receives royalty payments from another company that produces its product, sells its service, or uses its brand name in a foreign market. Strategic alliances, there's joint ventures. This is when two existing companies collaborate to form a third company. It is 100% owned by the parent company. And then global new ventures, they are new companies who are who want to they are founded in order to go globally right away. So they want to sell in foreign countries uh, right away, and they opt for a strategic way. So next for there's exporting, licensing, franchisee, joint ventures, all of the advantages and disadvantages that you can find on my website. Global new ventures, as I said, they are companies that are founded with an active global strategy and have sales, employees, and financing in different countries. The common features: first, the founders successfully develop and communicate their company's global mission, vision from inception. It is very important because you don't have all in your company, you have to manage a lot of different cultures and different people. Next, second, rather than going global one country at a time, new global ventures bring a product or service to market in several foreign markets at the same time. Finding the best business climate, you first need to access to growing markets. You need to find a good location to build, and you have to minimize political risk. Sometimes when you're building in another country, you see that their regulamentations are in favor for you. However, it may change because of I don't know, government fallback or government maybe people will go to the government and complain. So next, for chapter 9, we're talking about leading teams. So work teams, as we all know, it is when a team, a small number of people with complementary skills who hold themselves mutually accountable for pursuing a common purpose, achieving performance goals, and improving interdependent work processes. So first, advantages and disadvantages, you can see them in my website. When to use and when not to use teams. So there is a clear engaging reason or purpose. This is when you're using them. The job can't be done unless people work together. Rewards can be provided for teamwork and team performance. Ample resources are available. Teams will have clear authority to manage and change how work gets done. However, if the job can't be done by people working independently, it is better to do so and not work with teams. It may affect effectiveness. So here are all of the work groups that you can work with. You start with traditional work groups, which are the less autonomous group, and it goes to the self-designing teams, which are the most autonomous groups there is. So first, special kinds of teams, cross-functional teams. They are employees from different functional areas, generate more ideas and alternative solution, used in conjunction with matrix and product organizational structures. In my video for chapter 9, uh, I talked about La Capitale, and I think it is a great example to show cross-functional teams. Next, virtual teams select self-starters and strong communicators, provide frequent feedback, and keep team upbeat and action-oriented. Empower virtual teams. Project teams, one-time project within a limited time, promote flexibility. Now, in a team, you need team norms, team cohesiveness, team size, team conflict, and team development. They are all factors that can help or compromise a team's effectiveness. So first, team norms, you need to set rules. Then for team cohesiveness, it is when a team is attracted together. It is when people work very well together. They are cohesive one with another. For the team size, it is suggested that between 6 and 9 people, it is the best. It is the most effective. As for team conflicts, here are all of the aspects you need to cover in order to add a good fight. And for team development, it is there are 5 stages: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. In teams, for to achieve effectiveness, you need to set a team goal and priorities. You also need to select the right team members that work very well together. There's team compensation. When you're working with teams, people need to know that there will be a compensation with working with other people. And team training, people need to know everything about the project, and they need to work together in order to. And if they know about the subject, they'll be more effective when trying to reach their goals and priorities. This covers it all for chapter 9. And it is the end of my midterm project. I'll see you for the next chapter for Management 101. Thank you.